And clear as day, in my spirit, I hear the Lord say, sign up for that trading course that you've been looking at.
Welcome to Pathways to Purpose, Stories from the Freedom Collective, where we journey alongside remarkable women who have dared to follow that little internal voice and create a life that's in alignment with who they truly are. If you're at a place in your life where you're asking yourself, what's next? Who am I? And what do I really want? Go to IamTheFreedomCollective.com and grab yourself the video series, The Power Within. This resource, it's free right now because I want to help empower as many women as I can. It'll give you 7 keys that were never taught in school or university, so you can gain a new level of clarity and start creating a life and work that reflects who you truly are. Now, I'm excited. Let's get into this incredible story. I can already tell this is going to be a really great interview, so buckle in. Today, I'm excited to host a multifaceted guest, a dedicated podcast host, an insightful speaker, and a skilled trader. Her story is still in progress, which I absolutely love, and it's a remarkable narrative of transformation, guided by faith and a profound turning point that reshaped her life's direction in 2020. Through her endeavors, she embodies the essence of perseverance, obedience, and relentless pursuit of purpose as defined by divine guidance. Join us as we delve into her evolving journey, the challenges she faces, and the impactful messages she hopes to share with the world. Kanisha, gorgeous woman, thank you so much for joining us today on Pathways to Purpose.
Tale, it is an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. I am very much excited to get into this conversation just based on the conversation we had previously before we started. And so I'm looking forward to getting to converse with you and hopefully how that will be a blessing to your audience.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. And I am just really, really excited to hear more of your story, to learn from your experience as well that you've had along the way. And I really love that you talk about the fact that you're still in progress because, you know, so often we hear these inspiring stories and from people who have made it, and we have all of these ideas around what success looks like, how to do it, when you can talk about stuff. And the thing is, the journey and the in-between of from the start point to arriving, if we ever arrive. I don't think we ever arrive. We just keep growing and growing. But that in-between place, it can be messy. It can be challenging. It can be filled with, oh my goodness, am I on the right path? Am I hearing right? All of these things. And so I love having the conversations about the in-between piece. And I hope that those are the stories that will encourage people as they go through their in-between pieces, because that's where we are. We're in our in-between piece, and that's okay, you know? So can you tell us about your turning point? You say 2020, you had a significant turning point in your life. What happened for you?
Before I get into that, I will say I am very glad and agree with you that talking about the in-between space, even though that's where we always are, right? There's always a next goal. It's so valuable that you're talking about it and that we can have that conversation because we forget that place often when we hit the goal or the success that we've been working toward. And our mind all of a sudden is operating on a new level of confidence that doesn't allow us to admit or remember in as much detail the struggles, the thoughts that were not serving us well, the actions that were or were not serving us well, that even the actions that were, we forget those in the confidence of, I've now arrived at this next goal. I got it all together. This is the only thing I remember that I did. And it's so important because all of us, like you said, are in the in-between of something. So let's talk about, in a space of transparency, what that really looks like and how we're moving through it. So thank you for that. My turning point in 2020 was a compilation of things. First, in 2020, I gave my life to Jesus Christ. The interesting thing about that was I thought I was already saved. I thought I was already a believer. So, how did that realization come about and what impact did that have? At the beginning of 2020, I purchased a new home, praise the Lord, and I realized that I had moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and Tale. I lived in South Carolina prior to that, about a year prior to that.
We have so many connections. We have to talk more. I've lived in South Carolina. Keep going.
Oh my goodness. Love that. Oh, yes, we will definitely have to talk. So I had been in Atlanta transient in between an apartment and corporate housing for a year. And then, praise the Lord, I finally bought my house. But I had sticker shock when I bought my house, Tale, because in Atlanta, they wanted $100,000 more, maybe about $150,000 more for the same square footage I was paying for in South Carolina. And I thought, y'all have lost y'all's minds. So it took me about 6 months. I really feel bad for the real estate agent that I first worked with, who I took on a whole lot of house hunting and never bought anything because I hadn't processed the difference in price. And this is a point for us in business, right? Why do people talk about you don't charge enough for your prices? Because mindset, which Tale, I know you work with your clients on, if your mindset hasn't moved to a new level, you can't receive the new level. You can't receive a higher payment for your services. So I was in sticker shock for about 6 months and finally figured out Atlanta's rent is also crazy. Y'all have lost y'all's minds. I need to be paying for something that's going to actually give me some equity. So I bought a house. And then I said, I'm not paying for this by myself. Somebody is going to help me pay for this. So I rented out a room. And I prayed and said, Lord, send me a mentor. Now, these were two separate prayers. Thank you, Lord, for my house. I'm getting a room. That was Kanisha's idea. Lord, send me a mentor spiritually. The Lord sent me a woman who loves the Lord and walks in obedience and is from New York. So I have a strong personality. She does too. And the Lord knew I needed that to say, you are not walking in any kind of way, Kanisha, that would be representative of me. Let me help you. So through the course of her living with me for about 9 months, plugged into a Bible study with her, had lots of conversations with her. And in November of 2020, I gave my life to Christ. Now, Talia, this is the interesting thing, and this is just why I love Jesus so much. Everybody knows what was happening in 2020. I worked in the hospitality industry. Not only did I work in the hospitality industry, my job was managing the relationship with a company that was outside the US. So we have hospitality that nobody's traveling, and even when they started traveling, we have to take the hit of all the money we lost as in the hotel business was the hospitality area. So we have to, as a company, people had to absorb that. And then, we cut off expenses that we can do without. So offshore, nearshore relationships may or may not be needed. So my job, I didn't know at the time, was on the brink of being eliminated. But again, I didn't know this. So I gave my life to Christ in November 6th, 2020. Mid-November, Tale, I am sitting on the couch in my house, and clear as day, in my spirit, I hear the Lord say, sign up for that trading course that you've been looking at. Now, people will hear, because I used to hear this, and I'd say, what do people mean you hear from the Lord? He did not speak in an audible voice. There was no thunder or rolling. It was, I'm sitting on the couch watching television. Mind is on whatever on television or maybe drifting. And a thought comes out of nowhere that is very clear, right? The Lord will speak to us through our thoughts.
Yeah.
And we have to have discernment to know that it's him. But it was clear. And I feel when I hear the Lord speak, Tale, and I think this may help people, like it's almost as though it comes from my belly up. Like I feel like I hear it from my belly up instead of like through my mind down. And I said, okay, so I'm supposed to spend $2,500, but I can be frugal. I stopped saying cheap years ago. I can be frugal. You want me to spend $2,500 on a course And I had seen this, the woman who taught this trading course. And so when I talk about trading, trading in the stock market, I had seen her months before, but I was just being frugal. Like, nope, I'm not paying for this. I'm sure I can do YouTube University. That's a whole nother topic about why we think we can learn everything from YouTube without actually getting a coach who is skilled in what we need to do to show us something. But I hadn't done the work, right? So we say that stuff. Oh, I'm interested in trading. Oh, I'll just do YouTube. But I hadn't done the work because I would have to figure out what I need, where I need to go, the process. So when he said, sign up for the course, I literally got up off my couch, went to my laptop, signed up for the course. And she teaches, the person that I taught, learn to trade from, teaches income trading, not long-term trading. So how I can make an extra $200 a week or $1,000 a week to supplement income or replace your full-time job. Tale, about 30 days later, after receiving Christ and then hearing him tell me to sign up for this trading course, my job was eliminated. And so now, unbeknownst to me, those moments were preparing me for what God knew was coming that I did not.
When your job was eliminated, what was happening internally for you? What did you go through?
So this is the interesting thing about me. I am an eternal optimist, and I see the good in almost everything. I really want to say everything, but I don't know if that's accurate, but almost everything. So for me, and I also, even before truly coming to Christ, I grew up believing that I was a Christian. And so I grew up around church and I grew up knowing who God was. I always believed that God would take care of me. I would be fine. And I also believed that he instilled in me some pretty amazing attributes that I could work and be fine, right? Regardless. So from a financial standpoint, as well as a emotional standpoint, I've just always been very optimistic. It will be all right. Life will go on. So I looked at it as, oh, what an opportunity for me to delve into some stuff. Because in the summer of 2020, before I was officially laid off at the end of the year, I was put on furlough. So I was put on furlough for 3 months, right? So there's some people who were still working at my company and some who weren't. And so you sort of get what's going to happen, especially with what was going on in the world. And so I got my real estate license during that summer. Oh my goodness, we're going to take advantage of this. You know, I delved and looked at a lot of other businesses because I've always been a bit of a wannabe entrepreneur. And I've been an entrepreneur, but there's still growth that needs to happen. And so in that moment, I thought, okay, I know I have my severance. So I like to be honest because Tale, sometimes I have conversations with people and they're like, I went from zero to $100,000 in 3 months. And I don't know, did you have a trust fund or were you,
Oh my goodness.
were you on a sidewalk?
Yes. Yes.
Let's talk about the realness.
Details. Tell us the details, please.
Okay. So I had a severance. Praise Jesus. I had a severance that would last me for about 4 months. Yes. So it was about a 4-month severance. So we're going to be fine. We'll figure this out. And so that gave me a little confidence, a little security. And then also, like I said, I had just gotten my real estate license and now I am trading or learning to trade. And if anybody is in the trading world, especially during this time, you also thought we're going to go from zero to millionaire in 4.5 months. Because in the stock market in 2020, after the massive dip, you could throw anything at the stock market and you would make money because it was just going up. And so I was very optimistic during that time and wasn't concerned. So I was in that mode of how do I best spend my time? But I will also say, Tale, when we don't have a structure, we waste a lot of time. I know I did. And I still battle with that now because even though I am a worker, so I will get up and I will leave. I'm now working from home. I'm not employed, so I'm working on my own thing. I will leave my bedroom. I will get dressed to go to my work. I will be at my laptop at 8 or 8:30, and I will work until 6:30, 7, 8 o'clock at night. I will work. But if I'm not, I wasn't focused and I wasn't doing activity that's actually going to generate quickly what I wanted to happen. And so that's part of that process that I was learning and that I'm still learning.
I love that. I love so much of this conversation, and it's cracking me up because there are so many phrases that you have said that I say. And I feel like this is one of those moments where you feel like, oh, I've just found like a kindred spirit, a long lost sister, like some, like, there are just, it's hilarious and kind of a little bit like, whoa, this is really, really amazing.
Mm.
So that piece on sharing the details, like what actually happened, what did you do? I love asking those questions. And they're the things that I speak about often as well, because it's like, well, what happened? Like, how did you do the thing? What was the thing you had to overcome? So understanding, okay, your default setting is optimism. Your default setting is, okay, we can work it out. We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
That's a really important piece to know, right? And for those people who may not be eternal optimists or have that default, that's okay too. There's not one right way because we have different pieces. So I'm also an eternal optimist and use that exact phrasing. But having the people who would say they are more realistic, that's a whole conversation in itself. But people who aren't necessarily, they're not pessimists. They would call themselves realists, right?
Right.
And they're like, well, what's realistic? Those people are powerful and important as well. And so bringing those different pieces together can be really helpful in the journey. So that's one piece of it. The other piece is ultimately we get to choose our attitude. We get to choose our perspective.
Yeah.
That's it. It doesn't matter what's happening around you, whether doesn't matter what your default setting is. You ultimately get to decide what lens you're going to put on and how you're going to move through something.
Yeah.
And I love that you broke down those pieces around this is how it happened for me. It wasn't just that success story that we see pinned all over social media, 0 to 4 million, do this and, earn this much with only 30 minutes work a day. Like, there is a big journey.
There is. And I'll jump in and say, just talking about the trading journey. So, for people who may be familiar with trading or anything where you're a little more speculative meaning you're more prone to take risk based on the information that you have, and you're making a decision that has big potential for upward progress and big potential for downward progress. And so trading is one of those. While there are rules and there are processes to do, it's still very speculative. So when I started, people will hear this and say, beginner's luck. I'm not a believer in luck, but that's a phrase that people are accustomed to maybe. And I had that once I learned the process, and what my learning looked like really quickly was I would get up and I would spend 3, 4 hours, 2 hours a day going through the curriculum of this course, plugging into other people and communities that were trading as well, hearing from other people, studying. So I was putting in the hours, and then I practiced. Now, because I'm also a bit of an impatient person, as soon as I know the knowledge, I just want to go apply it. I don't always want to continue to learn. Again, an area of my life that needs improvement we're working on. But I pretty quickly, so I started the course in November. I took my first trade in It was either December or January. And I made, Tale, I think I might have made 20 bucks. And I thought, I'm about to be a millionaire. Oh, like this thing works. I am on the road. And so I continued to study. And in the first 6 months, Tale, I think I probably grew my account upwards of $15,000. And it actually may have been a little bit more than that. And I'm like, oh, we are on a roll. This is right. Like it's not what I was making in
Yep.
corporate, but I can build, right? So if this is the start, then the horizon looks
Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
But then one thing I love about trading, and this is probably applicable to everything we do in life, when you dive
Mm.
into something, it will start to reveal who you are, right? Like they say, if you want more money and you say, oh, I'm going to give when I get more money, you will not if you don't give now. Because money magnifies who you are, right? Anything, a relationship. If you say, oh, when I get a husband, when I get a boyfriend, when I get a wife, when I get a girlfriend, I'm going to be kind and considerate. If you are not kind to the waitress who is bringing your food now, you will not be. Things just magnify. And so I have a very competitive spirit. And let me cancel that. I won't say spirit, competitive nature. Um, I have a competitive nature, and it comes from I played basketball in high school and college. So
Yep.
I'm an athlete at heart. What trading revealed to me was when I don't lose well. And in trading, you will take losses. But when you have what I'm still working to overcome, so we talk about the process. When you have the process that's still happening of I'm competitive, so if I lose, I want to immediately get it back. I would revenge trade. I started revenge trading, and people who are familiar with trading will know who that is. What that is for those who don't know is I take a trade, I take a loss. I then decide that I'm going to ignore every plan that I have. I'm going to ignore every process that I have put in place, and I'm just going to take the next opportunity I see because I want to get that money back. That will cause you to spiral. And that is what I did for a while. And I'm still coming out of that because it's a constant, deliberate process of being disciplined. And that's the process that's the process that I'm in. And I think that's applicable to anybody, whether it's business, whether it's with your children, whether it's with the relationship, whatever. It is day by day making the decision, sometimes hour by hour, minute by minute, that what I said I'm going to do, I actually am going to do. I'm not going to do something because I feel that way. And I have done that. Just a few days ago, I had a blip in my trading. So my trading's gotten much better, praise the Lord. Still not where I want it to be. But I had a blip in my trading where I fell back into that. So I had made in an account almost $1,200 over the course of about 10 days. And Tale, I took a loss that I decided, hear my wording, I decided to blame on the market. The market didn't do that to me. It did not. Sometimes things just happen, right? And because of that decision, I then lost all 12 of that $100 that I had worked days to build in about an hour, right? And so it still shows up as Kanisha. You still have that area to improve on. And it's not that it hasn't improved. And this is where I want people to celebrate the progress you've made, but recognize you still have to make deliberate decisions each time and then hold yourself accountable. And that is the process that I'm still in. And I believe I will be in for the rest of my life as I continue to walk this path of what God has for me, whether it's in my podcast or it's in my speaking or it's in my trading, all of that. It's what's the deliberate decision that I'm making right now and making sure that I don't get down on myself to say, oh my goodness, Kanisha, you're such an idiot. When those thoughts come now, I say, you're not, you just decided to do what you know better than to do.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do next time? And that takes some training, and that it doesn't always happen immediately always, but it's being mindful of your thoughts as we have to be, and then saying, okay, let me take a break. Let me step away, regroup, and then come back fresh and tackle it again tomorrow. So that's where I am.
That is so powerful, so real, so in the minute real. So thank you for sharing like something that is right now. Something that is right now, because we often don't talk about those moments because we want to talk about them once we've recovered, once we're on the other side. And I really honor you for being vulnerable to share that with us so that we can learn from that too, because that is the journey to success, to whatever it is, to the goal. When we can understand that so much of that journey is really about developing the character, our character, to sustain, to carry, to live in the fullness of that goal, of that desire that we have, it helps us to embrace. But that's such a boring message. It's so boring, right? It's so boring. Like,
Right.
the character, I don't want to work on the character. That's hard. That's hard. But if you knew, here's the thing, if you already knew how to be the person that is at the goal, that has achieved the desire, you'd already be there. So have a look at your life. If you're not there, it's because you don't yet have the character to sustain that position. And that's a hard truth. So let this be a mirror that we're holding up to say, take a look, take a good hard look. If you're not there, it's because you don't have the pieces yet. And that's okay. Be kind to yourself. We're exactly in that process. Yep. I'm in that process of character development, and it's painful, but also so good. And I'm so grateful for it because I know that it's building me. Just like you said, okay, I didn't get it this time. Oh, okay, yep, but okay, I'm going to try again. Yep. I may not get it next time. I may not get it 100% next time, but I'll get it a little bit better. I'll get it a little bit quicker. And that is really all that matters. That's all that matters, is just that I'm just going to get up. I'm just going to keep going. I don't need to start again. I don't need to reset. And that's something a mentor said to me. And we can wrap up here, but like what a mentor said to me was like, don't bother about the reset. Don't bother about starting again. That's a really big mental hurdle. Mm-hmm. Just keep going. Just keep going. And I'm like, whoa, that feels very, very different.
Yeah.
And so that is a little gem that I know has helped me so much. Kenesha, you have inspired me so much. I would love to connect with you, follow more of your work. For the people that are listening in and are also inspired by you, how do we connect with you?
Thank you, Tale. The best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn. So it's linkedin.com/Kenesha Hart, KANESHI.HART. That's the best place to connect. I am on Instagram and Facebook as the Connection Collaborator. But if you want to touch base, check me out on LinkedIn. And I will say this just really quickly, Tale. I know we are popping off. But as you talked about, I love what you said and your mentor said, just keep going. Don't start over, right? Because that's a mental hurdle. With the speaking that I do, and it is brand new. This is something new that the Lord brought to my heart this year. But stepping into the space, I now speak on forging through fear. And forging is going forward through the fear. It's not pretending the fear is not there. It's not ignoring the fear. It's not being fearless. It is recognizing that the doubt, the fear, whatever you're afraid of is happening and you feel it or you're thinking it, and forging through. And forging is allowing I think about gold, right? Like gold, when you put gold in a fire, you forge it, the impurities come out. And what comes through that fire is beautiful and precious and rare and so valuable. And that is what we do when we keep moving forward, like you said.
So good. I want to let these words just settle into the cells of my body. Thank you so much. There's definitely going to be a part 2 to this interview because there is so much more to dive into. But Kanisha, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for dropping so many gems on us. I know that I'm going to be going back and listening to this again and taking some notes and just letting this sink in a little bit deeper. So thank you so, so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here and an honor.
Thanks for joining us today. If you were inspired by that story, please check out the description below this video because it will have all of the links that you need to connect with our guest and access their incredible resources. If you're in a place where you're feeling like, yeah, I know that there is something more for me and I want to start taking those next steps, but I'm not quite sure where to start, we have got your back here at the Freedom Collective. So again, in the description below, there are links to an incredible free resource. It's a 7-part video series where I give you 7 keys that we're never taught at school, we're never taught at university. And what these keys will do is they will help to start putting those foundation pieces in place so that you can bring your life into alignment with who you truly are. Your life, your work, your dreams, the things that are resonating at your core. So check that out. Connect with our guests. They're incredible. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, please share it with them. And we look forward to sharing another story with you again shortly on Pathways to Purpose, Stories from the Freedom Collective.